And it got a bunch of money put into it because
I'm gonna back this up.
that's Lemuel. What's his name? Lemuel Samuels, who jacked the Zeus network out from under some folks who had created it. And then it got a bunch of money put into it because his daddy is a black bishop in Israel. Do y'all understand? Everything is a lie. I'm going to bed. Look at that hairline. That hairline is a lie. I'm going to bed. Was he called Blueface because they like the color blue? Oh, no, it's because he in a gang. They the biggest gang out. They got us again. They got us again. Knowledge of yourself, and with the greater knowledge of nature, you must know what is good and what is not. You must know what is finite. You must know that which is material, physical, and otherwise.
What's up, party people, man? It's your boy Darren Dickerson coming to you live from the Freeway Rick channel. Yeah, it's Freeway Ricky Ross's YouTube channel. He's using it now for new content. For those of you guys that aren't familiar, this show is called Discovery and Distrust. I am your host, Darren Dickerson, and we are trying to just make sure you guys get caught up on anything and everything that's happening out here. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like and share. Excuse us for any little faux pas and foibles that you see. We still tweaking a few things here and there, but we glad you're here right now because this Zeus network thing, man, it's really out of control. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are, but I used to actually do some work with the Zeus team. Yeah. My company, we did, at one point, I was the head of publicity, marketing, and promotions for L Plumber Media. L Plumber Media is the company that Lemuel Plummer was actually running before he got into Zeus. We did the data marketing and research for what became Zeus. It really wasn't supposed to be a platform about trash and whatever, man. It was really supposed to be a Christian platform, Black Box Faith. But I'm gonna do this kind of how Candace Owens did it. I'm gonna do this as a series on Zeus. This is the first of it, and we're not gonna do the whole show about Zeus. But I wanted you guys to start doing your own research. So if you start watching this, that you'll be able to kind of follow along with everything that we're going to be talking about, because it's really important that in this stage and age where we are dealing with media, that we know who's running our media, we know how our media is being used, and we start taking control of our narrative and our message, right? We're out here asking people to look at African Americans and black people in a different way, and we got folks out here doing everything they can, to make us look like a hot mess. So now, for those of you who happen to or may not be familiar with the Zeus Network, the Zeus Network is a subscription-based streaming platform, and it was started by a gentleman by the name of Lemuel Plummer, right? And Lemmy is a supreme narcissist. When I met him, he was already having problems. He had been, what's what I'm looking for? basically barred from BT. You know, he had at one point in time he had an overall deal at BT. His overall deal at BT meant that him and his brother, they were actually developing, creating shows. One of his most successful series is the Preacher series, or the Preacher franchise. And he had a real knack for, he has a real knack for reality. He's a talented producer. I will not take that from Lemmy. Dude is really good. In the short time I was with him, I learned a lot from this young dude, but I was also there trying to, be like a big brother type, so to speak. A publicist who had him as a client was getting ready to take a corporate job, and she called me up one day and said, "Hey, I got this client. He's young. And then she knew me. For those guys who are not familiar with me, I've been a publicist in Hollywood for 20 years or so. Before that, I was in the music industry. Shout out to Silky Fine and the ladies that was GBM. I used to manage them, and so they were with Eazy-E, Rufus Records, and so I come up from back in the days of music, transitioned and did clubs in Hollywood. So if you ever went to, if you were ever in LA and you went to a club called Lingerie, I was the first black promoter to do that spot, and then I opened it up. It was faced on Sunset, and did some of the biggest parties in the world. Did the post party for the movie Boogie Nights. Did the EPMD back in business party, did a lot of things. And so then I left the music game, went back to school in 2004, graduated in 2007. Shout out to all my CSUN Matadors. I got to check and see if we're in the tournament. I really haven't been catching up. You might hear it in the background because I'm in the studio at the network right now. But yeah, so my background, is in the TV film game. I also represented a lot of different people, from Vanessa Bell Calloway, Benny Boom, for a lot of years. Launched all as a PR firm. We launched the R&B Divas franchise. Launched the Soul Man for TV Land. Launched Power Book 2, 3, 4, and BMF. That's Raising Kanan, Force. Y'all know. And then got nominated for Outstanding Original Film for the movie. Did the campaign for First Lady of BMF. Was a part of the campaign. They got Glenn Turner his Emmy. And Glenn Turner, shout out to Glenn Turner for winning an NAACP Image Award. He just won another Image Award. But he also won the Emmy for guest actor, actor in a guest role for In Treatment, right? But, that's a little quick background, so that gives you some perspective on what I see and what I know. And this whole thing with Lemmy Plummer, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And so his father is Glenn Plummer. She says Samuel's in the video, but his name is Glenn Plummer, right? And Glenn Plummer is a major bishop in the Kojic Church. I'm going to show you guys in the next couple of videos what Zeus was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a platform called Black Box Faith. When she said he stole it from the guys who originally creating it, the irony is it's actually how I know Benny Boom, because he was working with a digital company that did they were doing a lot in the streaming space and the digital storage space. I'm not trying to throw too many people's names out here now, because I'm gonna give y'all evidence and let y'all see, what it really is, because it's really twisted. It's really crazy that this dude, he was doing reality TV. Lemuel Plummer from Zeus, the CEO of Zeus. He ran a company called L Plummer Media, and he produced a lot of content. But he was so out of control. He was so irrational, right? That like the first day, maybe the first week I'm there, I meet this young guy. He look a little nerdy, right? I'll tell you about the skinny suits later. Yeah, but he look a little nerdy, right? And I'm like, this nerdy dude, like, saying people said he has so many problems, all that. When I meet him, he seemed real down to earth, real cool. His family is from Detroit. His father is a bishop. They got a church out there. That's where he started doing content. One of his best friends is his executive producer. He got a lot of little things that's like, okay, well, I don't get the problem, right? So now I'm saying to myself, okay, why? So I dived in with him because I liked him. I'm not gonna lie. He felt like a little brother to me. He really did feel like a little brother. So I'm doing the big brother thing to him. And then in the end, come to find out, he's loony limited, limited lunatic. You know, they was trying to. You know, so long story short, he was developing two things at the same time. He was decided he wanted to do. We were developing two shows at the same time. Well, one was a show, and the other was a platform. The show was called The Social Network and was comprised of all these social media influencers, right? King Batch, Amanda Cerny, Dave Storm. I mean, it was a bunch of different influencers that was in this show. Well, the show kind of aligned with what he was doing with the platform. He was like, well, which one should I do? One was called Black Box Faith, which was going to be like a Christian Netflix. But it was going to be different. It was going to be more like a social-based Christian Netflix because it was going to have your movies, TV shows, your faith-based, right? Uplifting, inspirational, you know, a lot of what they're doing right now. But it was also going to have your churches. And he had, because his father is a bishop in the Kojic Church, he had the Kojic Church on board, the International Kojic Church on board. He then had T.D. Jakes. He had, who else he had? He had a bunch of people, right? Joel Osteen, because his father started calling them personal relationships, right? Those personal relationships bore fruit because these people said, let them put their faces in the deck. So they were in the presentation, in the proposal we shopping around. Okay? Are you listening to what I'm saying? So all these people were in the proposal, in the presentation. They were going to be a part of the whole campaign. And we went to work. It was really just that simple. And so once, but then at the last minute, this dude decides to switch it up. He tell them, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to do the Christian thing. I'm going to do the social influencer thing first, right? And I'll get into all the details about what the strategy was, what the plan was, because in theory, it wasn't a bad plan. In actuality, though, right? And the actual will explain, you know, how I end up leaving, how I'm here right now, rocking with Rick Ross. For those guys who just tuned in, man, you are watching Discovery and Distrust. I am Darren Dickerson, formerly a celebrity publicist, Hollywood publicist. And make sure you subscribe. I'm getting my directions down. Make sure you like and share. You're watching a new true crime, true Hollywood, true everything type series, Discovery and Distrust. And I am broadcasting to you live. One is you'll be able to catch this later on Little Rock IPTV. But I'm also broadcasting live from the Coffee Coop in the Technology Center in downtown Little Rock. If you are in town and looking for a great cup of coffee, make sure you pull up. Shout out to the Coffee Coop. Anybody who know me know I'm on my coffee game every day. So listen, man, we talking about the Zeus Network. I shout out to Amanda Seals. I mean, I think she was so heartbroken to find out. I mean, I don't know why people are surprised. If you've seen the shows on the network, Baddies and, you know, they had Jocelyn's Cabaret and all these other shows, man. But it really was just a excuse to get on there and scrap it out. Get on there and duke it out. For real. I mean, it was it is still to this day remains the most disgusting display. It also dovetails perfectly with what was happening with, if you don't want to know how Blueface and all of them became a thing, you know. But I was telling y'all about that first week, man, when I walked in, right? So I'm first week over there. It's pretty cool. It's chill. He had a beautiful office in Burbank. Oh, I had a lovely office, man. My whole back was a window, and when I turned around, I looked at the Disney Hill. I mean, you know, it was all the amenities, all the perks. It was really great in terms of what he had going on from a production company standpoint. But they were just so wild and irrational, right? And so, long story short, man, I'm loving the first week. It was chill. It was like almost like a dream, right? So I was going into the like the little break room area because they had a ping pong table in there, and they had TV was on in there, so we wanted to catch something that was on the news, something like that. We could go in there. So I was going in there. I might have been going to get some snacks. I might have been going to see what was on TV. But I hear some screaming coming from his office. Now, up until then, it's been, you know, they've been playing games. They ride scooters down the hallway. I mean, it was very much a millennial kind of techie, kind of, you know, that hippie, hipster kind of vibe, which I was cool with it. And so, you know, I'm in the offices, but I'm hearing the kind of woofing I'm hearing. That sounds like some hood woofing, right? And so as I get closer, I'm hearing somebody banging on them, like hard banging. And they talk about they finna come up there. I walk in, I'm like, hey, bro. So they have the phone, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, who is this you talking to? And da-da-da-da. Long story short, it was Whack 100. So we'll get into all of the relationship with Whack and the whole nine over the course of this series, man. But I'm letting y'all know right now that I ended up having to step in because there was a money situation going on between him, Ray J, and Whack. Whack was really the collector. Ray J. Bro, I mean, first of all, the thing y'all gonna see is that all these people in these towns is connected. They all know each other, and they've been knowing each other, and they do a lot of stuff together, right? And the last people you expect to be rocking with each other, man, they've been rocking with each other for a long time. You're starting to see all this stuff come out now in cases, and now that people's getting online and telling their truth and the whole nine. So, shout out to Rick Ross for giving us the space and the place to kind of really start having these conversations. He and I executive producing this series because it's really just time that, you know, we stop acting like there's not stuff that's happening in the culture that people are playing in our face, and that we're not going to be able to proactively respond or have people who really know. A lot of the podcasters out there that's covering this, a lot of people that's out there that's talking about it, it's dope that they talk about it, but they wasn't there. They wasn't there, so they don't really know. Right? So now you finna get some people who front row seats. And if I don't know, I know people who do know. So I ain't finna tell you, well, this and that, and we'll be heard, and blah, 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 blah. Nah, man, we finna give it to you straight. Starting right now with this Zeus thing, man, because this Zeus thing is out of control. Because you're going to see through the Zeus thing, I'm going to show you what was going on the West Coast. You see what's been happening on the East Coast. Yeah, but we also going to try to make sure we are keeping y'all up to date on what's going on in just regular media and culture. You know, we hope to try to translate some of these bigger issues and bigger topics, distill them down for you, because we understand that, you know, sometimes we're not really keeping up with what's happening in the news. I talked to a couple people, man, in the last few days, and they hadn't even really heard what the attorney, I mean, with all the hearings that's been going on, they hadn't really heard what they said, or you're catching clips online, you know. Okay, so now if you follow Rick Ross, if you we'll clip this up too, and so, you know, we're gonna encourage you and invite you to turn here, right? Discovery and Distrust is about helping you discover the things you don't know, and Distrust is really helping you understand how people's doing us dirty. Because, you know, right now it's critical for us to really be engaged around the things that's going on. So let me tee this up.
All right, the triple Trumpers are going through some things, specifically the working class triple Trumpers that came out in full force, that have been left over and looked over by both parties for decades. And they voted for this guy because they felt like, oh, he can't be bought. He's rich and he's a businessman. And so he'll know how to run the government. And so let's do a little check-in on how things are going with the triple Trumpers. Play the clip.
Let's take a listen to one more woman who we spoke with. If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You are a worthless pile of shit.
Whoa. What's up, party people? It's your boy Darren Dickerson for Discover and Distrust, man. Make sure you subscribe and like and, share. Um, that's wild, man. So for those of you guys who are not familiar with the I've Had It podcast, Jennifer and her girl Pumps, man, they got a really great show where they're really talking about, everything that's happening in the conservative world. I think they were conservatives before, and they saw the light. And Jennifer, man, the first one who was talking, not the one without the glasses. I think she moved from Oklahoma to New York. She didn't get off the train so tough. But this war, man, I think the dam is finally broke. That people are realizing that it's not 4D chess that's going on. There's not some bigger genius plan that's going to be unveiled on the world. And as a veteran, first thing I want to say is pray for everybody. There are no winners in war. I'm for peace. I'm a hippie. I'm a 7-year veteran. I was in the military during Operation Desert Shield. It became Desert Storm, and I am a peace advocate. Especially considering that now that we see how some of the officials who have been selected and directed to run our nation aren't the sharpest knives in the drawer. They certainly didn't finish. They might have finished at the top of their class in school, but in life and in humanity and in caring for people and loving people, man, So now that Maga feels gassed. So, I shared that clip with you because we need to be aware of what everybody's saying on all sides, right? I think there's a time now where there's a through line where all the people are feeling the same, and we just need to stop pointing fingers at each other and start talking to each other, right? That we've done enough of that for a long time. And, it doesn't mean that you got to want to have me living next door to you. Doesn't mean that I want to have you dating my son. But it does mean that we share some basic needs, basic wants and desires that all humans and humanity share, and that we are in a position where we are in one of the most wealthiest nations in the world. They throw around billions a day. Billion. Do you understand how much war costs? War is not cheap. But before, it was always somehow being portrayed as so vital and so necessary, and they were able to scare people. But now the fear is not working anymore because food, hunger, your stomach scream louder than any imaginary group of people that's nowhere near you and what they could or could not or may not actually do to you. That's keeping it a buck, bro. So, this is on Discovering Distrust. This is on Freeway, Ricky Ross's channel. If you're just tapping in, I'm gonna make sure I keep. Please ignore any little bumbles and stumbles. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like and share. We are. We knew it. It's a new thing. Us streaming this content. And I'm your boy, Darren Dickerson. I'm your host. We're going to be putting up some other episodes where me and Rick sit down and talk. Shout out to Ricky Ross. He's in L.A., moving around. Y'all know Rick, man. If y'all know Rick doing 100 things, make sure you follow him on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to be giving you guys a lot more updates, news, information, and we're going to try to weave in what's happening in the real world with what's happening in the culture, right? And right now, if you're not aware, everybody's talking about finally, the Zeus network is getting called out. The MAGA people are getting exposed. I think there's a movement in heaven going on. But we'll get back to that later. So this is the first part of the show. If you just tap it in, is the start of a series where we're going to be breaking down the Zeus network. I encourage you to go back and watch it from the beginning and see what we talking about, so you can stay caught up. But this is the first in a series of shows. I'm your boy Darren Dickerson, Discovery Distrust. Thank y'all for tapping in.